Diggs Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Peanut Butter Magic. This is the last episode of the season. And tonight, we are talking about what's the point? Stay tuned.
It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show. It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show.
All right. What's up, everybody? Thank you for checking us out. Unfortunately for you, I got a host tonight. My name is Boss 10. I got with me my main man, Sway Low. What's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah. I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. We're just talking about how Christmas is upon us.
Yes. Ho, ho, ho. And I need to get rum. I think that's some pirate shit, right?
That's my daily life.
Do you drink eggnog, man?
I love eggnog.
Do you?
Oh, yes. When I know the holidays are coming because I'll see it on the shelf and I'm like,
yeah. You put
I go
rum in
through it too. I mean, sometimes, but I'm just a sugar fanatic. So I just love it.
Yeah. I like to get hammered with it. You know what I mean? That's about the only time of the year that I actually like drink.
Right.
But yeah. Give me some eggnog, man. A little coconut rum. I'm good to go. You know what I mean?
I've never tried it with coconut rum. That's interesting.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't want to I'll give you the brand once we.
Okay.
Coconut rum with eggnog.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
We should bottle it and call it Diggs.
Dig that.
That's the slogan.
Absolutely. Word up.
I do, man. Though I love eggnog. I don't get any of the flavored stuff. I just straight up eggnog.
They have flavored eggnog?
There are different flavors. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like pumpkin and cinnamon.
Oh, fuck all that.
No. Just straight up eggnog.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. I bet Faith would probably like something like that. She likes to spice up whatever she makes. She likes to spice it up. Like, for example, she came in here about a couple hours ago and she was like, Dad, you're doing your podcast, so I'm going to make cookie brownies. So I was like, all right. So she leaves. A couple minutes later, she comes back and she was like, do we have vegetable oil? And I'm like, look in the pantry to see if there's any vegetable oil. So she disappears. I get done setting up and I go downstairs and she's down there with the mixing bowl and she's mixing and doing whatever she's doing, okay? And I was like, so how's everything turning out? She's like, good. She was like, I didn't see any vegetable oil. I was like, so what did you use? And she was like, olive oil.
So. Very good.
Yeah. So
that's why cookies at Italian restaurants taste so funny.
Right. So she was like, we might just have the cookies.
That's awesome. Have you tried them yet?
No. When I saw her, she was still mixing.
Okay.
So I don't know how far she's gotten. Stay tuned.
Right. I'm excited.
So yeah. That's my night.
This isn't nearly as awesome as olive oil and cookies. But since I was a child, the Atlanta Braves have not won the World Series. And I am proud to say this is the first episode since the World Series. ATL!
Yeah. Yeah. And they kicked ass too.
They did.
It was like by the time I heard they were in it, it was over.
Yeah. They did really good, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did really good. A friend of mine, he's in the military. Big shout out to Derek. Thank you for your service, bro.
Right.
He hit me up and was like, this organization I'm in is giving out Braves tickets and we can go. And I was like, yeah, I want to go. He's like, it's Sunday. And we both had things going on first thing Monday morning.
Yeah.
So he was like, I can't go, but you can take the tickets. And I was like, when is it? He said, Sunday. I'm like, I can't go either. And that was the game that they lost. So
hell no. See, if you'd have been there.
Yes, we would have been there. We would have had to drive back all night. Both of us getting back to what we're doing on Monday, first thing. And then we would have been angry the whole time because
no, if you'd have been there, they'd have won. They'd have won if you were there. But because you didn't show, see, so now, you know.
Sorry, Atlanta. Life. But they turned it around, though. They turned it around. They started good on that game, man. Duval hit a grand slam. And I was like, oh my God, we could have been there and seen the grand slam. And then they lost anyway. But it was a great World Series, man. I can say that as an Atlanta fan. I really enjoyed the victory.
Yeah. And it's the closest team that we have to us as pro. You know what I mean? So shout out. Yeah. Shout out. And we've rooted for the Braves here in Tennessee since forever.
Right.
That's like our team too. You know what I mean? So it's been that way. So,
TBS was a free channel and they played all the games. So it was just constantly Braves games when you're flipping through basic channels. So if you're not a Braves fan, you at least know who they are and you root for them because they're always on.
Absolutely. And it was like that with the Bulls too when I was a kid because we had WGN.
Oh, yeah.
And they played all the Bulls games. So we saw all the Michael Jordan games. We did. We saw them all.
And that's smart for marketing too.
Yeah. Like they have a channel like that in New York too. It's called MSG, Madison Square Garden, where you can see all the Knicks games like that. Yeah. And do that whole business. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they do. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of the Knicks. Tonight we're going to talk about what is the MFN point. What I mean by that is we do what we do what we love, and we keep on doing it even if we fail or win or, do nothing at all. We still keep doing. And just want to, now that we're at the end of the season, we've completed our goal. We've hit the end of the line. I don't know about success or failure yet because podcasts, once you put them out, they have to float for a little while and gain traction. So I'm excited to see what happens with the season we just did. I'm excited to see what happens with the season that we're going to do next. But stuck right here in the middle of the beginning. Why do we keep doing it? Why are we here? What's going on? So that's pretty much what I wanted to wrap the season up with tonight.
Okay. So why do you keep going?
It's something new, I think, was the drive for me in the beginning because, I got into podcasts during the pandemic. I knew that they existed. People had talked about them before, but just sitting at home with nothing to do, actually, and trying to come up with something to get through the day. You get tired of the same music over and over and over again. Anybody that listens to the radio is tired of the same song by the end of the day, and so just looking for something new, got into podcasts, found some that I really love. And I remember I talked to a couple buddies that I knew also listened to podcasts and some of them have gone on to do their own and some of them just continue to listen. And then you called me one day and was like, yo, I'm talking about doing a podcast. What do you think? And I'm, oh my God, I was just thinking about talking to you about doing a podcast. And, so it was something creative to dive into and explore. And there was a lot of production skills that were involved, because instead of like most people do, just starting out with audio, you and I have to swing for the fences and go for audio and video, and, you know, merchandise. Like we came up with all kinds of stuff, and so you know, it was exciting, it was fun, it was fueling the fire, and you know, here we are.
Yeah.
What about you? What'd you want to do this for?
It was more so just trying to find something, like I said, while we come up with our next thing. And really, I underestimated podcasting. I really did. I was never really into them. You've seen some, and you see clips here and there, you hear clips here and there, but it wasn't anything that just really piqued my interest. But when we didn't really have the one thing that was keeping us busy, I was like, well, if we stay busy with something, you know, maybe the work will come through. And so I was like, okay. And Quase, he mentioned to me a few times, man, we should do a podcast and just talk about life. And at first I was like, and then I think you mentioned Joe Rogan and his podcast. This is what really piqued my interest in it. And I went and checked, because I like Joe Rogan a lot. So, and you was like, he has the greatest podcast. And I'm like, really? So when I checked him out, just the way that it was set up, I was like, okay. And I listened to a few of them. And then I was like, now, how can we make this work for us? And then it hit me about the indie artist. And then that's when I was like, okay, maybe we should. But I also had in the back of my mind too, that it ain't gonna be a big deal. It's just something we can do, get together once a week and do, you know what I mean? So, you know, while we're, you know, Pinky and the Brain in it, we can do this to kind of pass the time.
Right.
And man, like we started in like March of 2021. And we didn't put out our first one until October.
Right.
So, you know, it was a bigger take on than I had suspected.
Yep.
So I wasn't really prepared for, like, even after we put it out, I wasn't prepared for, I didn't have a strategy of what we were going to do once we put it out. I figured we'd go organic and see what happens, but I didn't really have a solid plan. Not like when we're about to execute a record or something along those lines. I got, okay, we put out child support. I had a whole strategy on how I wanted that to roll out and how what I wanted child support to be. With this, because I had no real knowledge. So it's like it's 1989 again for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm back into something like is untreaded territory. So it's a little scary in one, but exciting all at the same time. And then the pressure, like you said, to us we with the overkill and shit. You know what I mean? We got to go big or go home. That in itself too has been like a huge take on as well. Yep. I did not want to let you down in this thing. I didn't want you to think that I was being overwhelmed over here. So I'm trying to keep up. And at the same time, I'm like, Lord have mercy, man. This is like, word, you know, but never let them see you sweat. And through it all, we were still able to put them out week after week after week after week after week. And nobody saw me sweating behind the scenes whatsoever.
Not me, man. I was sweating like crazy. The biggest thing for me has been being in front of the camera.
Really?
Like, that's not my job ever.
Right.
I tried it once, figured out it wasn't for me, never got back in front of it again. And So to be on these podcasts, like I think I've talked about before, is when I'm going through the edits and creating the episode, like I see myself, and I love the way that we have the cutting set up so that it cuts back and forth between the both of us. But I'd be cool if it just stayed on you the whole time. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to pretend my camera doesn't work today and see if we can get through the episode.
Well, I have a little experience of being in front of the camera, so I don't mind it so much. But I also, that's about 70% of the reason why I asked you to do it too, was because you always stayed behind the camera. I just really wanted to introduce you to my people. You know what I mean? That really was what it was, man. That was just like, this is the guy that I've been rocking with for a long time, and that whole business. And I knew you'd have some shit to say, so why not?
Oh, I always got shit to say. I'm like that guy that if no one has anything to say, just ask me a stupid ass question and I'll talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Is it silent in here? I got you. Will anything I say matter? No.
Does it need to? Not really.
Hopefully you'll forget it anyway.
But why do you keep going, Brandon? What, being a creative is, it can break your heart over and over and over and over and over again.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I've seen it break the hearts of many people that claim to be strong as an ox.
Right.
How do you overcome the heartbreak? How do you get past it?
To be honest, I think I've just become numb to that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever you start something new, you always fail anyway.
Yeah.
And it's cool to succeed right off the bat, but you don't learn anything.
Right.
And like when I go watch, the Braves play, for example, I always want them to win. I never want to see them lose, ever.
Right.
But they're going to lose because they're going to make mistakes, and then they're going to grow from those mistakes. Mm-hmm. And despite what anyone says, I feel like my journey has been a failure because I haven't reached the goals that I want to reach, and not getting to that goal has been such a struggle to just my own experience that I put so much effort into it now that it's like I can't stop until I hit that goal.
Right.
And I don't care if I hit the goal and it never happens again.
Right.
I'll come up with a new game plan.
Right.
But that drive I haven't lost that yet. And that's really why I keep going.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. I enjoy it. I spend every free moment of my life thinking about it. So it's all I got.
Yeah, that's me, man. That's me too. Every waking moment I spend thinking about it. I'm the same way. I love it. I love it. I've never put more time into anything else in my life than what I put into just my creative side.
Yeah.
Ever. So for me, that's enough to keep me going. Now we dabble in different parts of the creative process.
For sure.
But it's the point of always your mind always on. Ready to come up with something magical in a moment's notice. People kind of relying on you to be that guy that they can go to for a great idea.
Yeah.
All of that keeps me going. All of that. Working with young people, you know what I mean? They're coming up with here lately, all the young people kind of sound the same here lately. But there was a moment where I was working with the young people to where everybody wanted to establish their own identity. You know, the Luke Jones from the Kelly-Ons and you know what I mean, the dollar bills from the Twisted or whoever was the flavor of the month. Everybody was trying to find themselves. Now, if you're not in the in crowd, you know, you're not accepted. What are we, clueless?
Right.
You know?
What's your favorite part of the process? No matter what creative outlet we're involved in, they all kind of flow the same pattern.
Right.
You create something, you figure out how to make it happen, then you execute, and then you share it. So going through those same steps, you know, that relate to whatever you're doing. What's your favorite part?
I would say production.
Okay.
From all at the actual doing, you know what I mean, is what I enjoyed the most. And that's from everything, the production of like the concept to the production of the record, to the production of the marketing strategy, to the production of the execution of the marketing strategy, to the production of whatever show we've got or event we've got, the production part of that, the getting it to get, yeah. That's what I like about it. The grinding it out.
Right.
That part of it. That's the part that I enjoyed the most out of all of it, really.
The hard work behind
it. Mm-hmm. Yep. I like that part of it. You know. And I try to get other people excited about that part of it. A lot of people don't like that part of it.
Right.
But for me, that's what separates the men from the boys. No offense to any women or anything like that, but just using that as a
well, this
term.
is a man's job, so.
Right.
I'm kidding.
But that I love producing. I love being the guy to pull it off. I love that part of it. I do. Just proving to myself that I can. Mm-hmm. First of all, there's no, it's one thing to get on stage when they call your name and go out and perform. It's another thing to know that you were able to accomplish everything you set out to do leading up to the moment that you get out on stage. All the journey part of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Leading up to that one moment to where they're about to call your name. There's something magical in all of that. You know, even the tough parts of it. What about you? What do you like the most? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is the creative side of it. I love when the idea sparks. That's probably the most enjoyable part. It's like going to the movie and sitting down to watch your favorite movie and you didn't know that was going to be your favorite movie, you know, but you went to the theater and you sat down and you watched it and you had a blast and then you talked about it in the little hallway when you're, you know, going back out to the lobby. What'd you think? Oh, I like this scene. I like that scene, or I didn't like it, or whatever it was. Like, to me, I experienced that with the original thought of the idea. Like when you and I were talking on the phone about, I guess it wasn't on the phone. It was at the end of the last episode when we were kind of spitting ideas back and forth about what we could do in the next season. Like that part's exciting because I'm seeing all this stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it out and seeing how it's going to flow and it's going to change and all that we've talked about before. But that initial, like that's the most enjoyable part for me.
Yeah.
And then I almost have a tie that I'm going to talk about is when it's distributed, watching or listening with somebody else. That's almost a tie for my favorite part because I love that discussion. Like I love that conversation when you exit the theater and you're walking down the hallway talking about the things that you liked. Like I almost love that just as much as I loved watching it. And so being able to share something that I've been a part of creating and getting to listen to them or watch them laugh or watch their eyes open or watch them like pull out their phone and start texting because they hate it. Like,
Yeah.
like I also just go crazy for that.
Now, do you take criticism well?
I didn't used to, but I do now. In the beginning, I was the best. No one could tell me otherwise. And if you didn't like what I did, then there's something wrong with your opinions. That was my attitude. I'm just being honest. But now, like I want that criticism.
Yeah.
Like it's still just like anything else. If you've done something and then someone else tells you they don't like it, however you handle it doesn't matter. It still hurts.
Stings. Yeah.
It stings.
Absolutely.
So I obviously still experience that, but I've gotten so much better at listening and appreciating the honest response, because when I want the honest response, I can't get it. People are like, oh no, it was great. I loved it. And I know it sucked. So just tell me it sucked, but tell me why you think it sucked, because I need to know that when I do something, when I do my next task. So getting that honest feedback, I've learned that that's crucial. And so I've gotten a lot better at listening.
Okay. That's good. I don't know if I like or hate criticism. I'm not sure. But when I was younger, I looked for critics. In my earlier days, I listen to this record and tell me what you think. But over the years, I've come to learn that everybody's a fucking critic. You know what I mean? Everybody. And a lot of people that criticize can't do what it is that you do.
Right.
So I love being appreciated and applauded. I mean, I'm an entertainer. So we live for, I think we like the applause more than we like the check. You know what I mean? So I live for that. But for me, the please listen to my demo days are behind me in that regard. I create now more so the things that I enjoy. And hopefully other people will enjoy the things that I do. That's my intent going into the projects, not trying to please a certain demographic. I just go in and be as creative as I can be.
Right.
And hopefully you can see, the beauty in whatever it is I'm presenting to you, But even so, in my younger days, when someone criticized me, if I was looking for the criticism and they criticized me in a negative way, I would just say thanks. But I learned that at a young age to where don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's not a personal attack on you. It doesn't change who you are as a person, your character, or anything like that. They just might not like that.
Right.
They may love you.
Right.
Just what you did may not be their cup of tea. Right. So I remember when I was in Tennessee, before I moved to New York, we were doing music one way, the way that we knew to do music. We were. And it was appreciated and accepted around here. People loved it. And people in New York loved our style too. But when we got to New York, the music was different. The culture was different. The styles were different. We now had a producer that wasn't from the South. You know what I mean? So our sound started to change a little bit as well. And I remember I came home to visit after we cut our first record in New York, after we cut our first New York record. And my Uncle Tim, God bless his soul, he was a huge fan of mine before I left. He loved the music. He would always be very supportive. He'd come over, and if I had a new song that I recorded, I'd call him over. He'd come to my house and listen, and we always did that. And then I came home to visit from New York, and I called him, and I was like, I got some new music that I've been recording out on the East Coast. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna come through and pick you up. We'll go for a ride, and we'll listen. So I play him the record, and it had the East Coast. It was very beat driven, you know what I mean? As opposed to out here, a lot of things are very melodic, you know what I'm saying? And this was like mid 90s at the same time. So it was very beat driven. You know, you rock, you bob your hair like that, but it still had the Swalo feel with the singing and the hooks and all of that, the rapping and the singing, and it still had those vibes, but it was different. And my uncle listened to the record, and when the record went off, he was like, I don't like it. And I was like, well, what don't you like about it? And he was like, it's not what I'm used to hearing from you. He was like, yeah, you're still talented, don't get me wrong. He was like, but I'm used to the, you know, you with the harmonies and things, and this was very simplified. In New York at that time, what we were doing out here in Tennessee, less was more. It was what I was starting to learn and stuff like that. So when he heard the record, I thought the record was great, but he was like, it's not what I'm used to hearing from you. And all I said to him, well, I appreciate you listening. And then I kept thinking about the things that he said to me after we parted ways. And then when I went back to New York, I told my producer, it's like, I let my Uncle Tim hear the record. And he said that he didn't like it because it wasn't what he was used to hearing from me. And my producer, he got offended. In the beginning, he was like, well, you know, this is New York hip hop and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I still want to be able to connect with, you know, my people too at the same time. So we got to find a way to give me that edge that you want, but in a way to where I can still deliver the message that my people like to hear from me too. So we found a middle ground, fortunately, we did. And the next time I came home to visit, my Uncle Tim was with the records the next time. But had I just been like, you don't know hip hop, this is New York, like this is the Mecca. And if I'd have took that attitude, you know, I couldn't grow. You know, it's about the growth, and you know.
Well, so, and as an artist, like our job is to entertain.
Right.
And if we can't entertain because we're stuck on what we want versus what the audience wants, then you're going to fail.
Yep.
Like, and make what you want, and then show it to the audience, and let the audience tell you what they like and don't like. And then, like you said, find a way to mix in your flavor with whatever it is that they expect. Yep. And you'll find success for sure.
Absolutely. But being offended because it doesn't appeal to someone, that I don't think that's the way to go.
Right.
Now, we all have haters, you know what I mean? And being a hater is one thing. But if someone's giving you constructive criticism, or at least for me, I don't take offense to that.
Yeah.
Because I like to believe that it's coming from a place of love for them to even say anything, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And the critics aren't always right.
Yeah, you're right.
Know? Like
you're right.
Eternals came out this weekend, and all the critics are giving it bad reviews, but the audience is giving it high reviews.
Right.
So it's awesome that they show you both sides. Like, this is what the pros think, and then this is what all the fans think. And the numbers are not always the same.
You're right.
You know, and
you're absolutely right.
I've seen it. It's great. It works. So
you're right.
You know.
You know. Now, are there any things, Brandon, that sometimes make you want to say, fuck this shit?
Yeah. The alarm clock going off. That's the first one. I will schedule a production. I will cast everyone. I will do all the grunt work. I will do all the fun work. I will do absolutely everything to get it ready to roll. And Saturday morning, that alarm clock will go off and it's time to get up and drive to location. And I'm like, oh, why did I do this today?
Yeah.
And then I get there and everything's great. But, you know, there's a lot of things. Everything has a hiccup. You know, everything. There's always something that gets in the way. And it just, I've seen people quit for the dumbest reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's like, you're not even going to try.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, why? Why would you stop? That's not even a big deal. You know?
And that's anything in life that people want to do. That's just not being like entertainers. That's with anything. People quit before they give it a shot.
Right.
You know, if it's something that you really want to, if you claim that it's something that you really want to do, why would you give up on it? Why would you? How could you?
I currently have a job that I do not enjoy.
Right.
And I currently on the side spend all my free time doing what I love.
Right.
And if I could get rid of that part that I don't like and replace it with what I love, like that would be incredible.
Yeah.
And to just go, you know what? It didn't work out right away, so I'm just going to stop doing that thing that I really enjoy, and I'm just going to go back to this job that I can't really stand.
Right.
I just can't imagine dying knowing that that's how I spent my entire life. You
That
know?
that's the fuel to my engine, man.
Yeah.
Is that right? That what you just said? That's the fuel for it all. Honestly.
Yeah. Like things happen. I understand that people have hiccups in life that they just simply cannot avoid. And I understand the reason why you might have to give up something. That I get that. But the quitting part is the part that I can't get behind it.
No.
Like,
no.
Did you not like doing this? No, I absolutely loved it. Well, why not do it anymore? It's just not panning out. That's you.
Yep.
Like you're the reason it's not panning out. Like, you know, like actors as an example, actors get really upset when they don't get cast in something.
Yeah.
And I get it. You got your hopes up and you rehearsed and you showed up for the audition. And you saw everybody else that was auditioning and you thought, all right, I've read the script. I'm perfect. You go in there and you audition and everybody loves it. And no one will tell you to your face in an audition that you're terrible. They'll just, thank you so much for coming in. We really enjoyed meeting you, blah, blah, blah. And then you never hear from them again.
Right.
And I understand how like upsetting that can be. And that might make you go, well, maybe this just isn't for me. But from a director's standpoint, like we have a character in mind.
Right.
You know, and the character that you brought today, whether or not it's just you delivering lines or you sat at home and came up with a character thinking that this represents what I see, whatever you came here today with, that's not what I saw. That's not what I want. This other person happened to show up and be exactly what we thought we needed. And so that's why that person got cast. It doesn't mean that you're a terrible actor.
Bingo.
You know, like I know people that have auditioned for, you know, I don't know how many things, a lot of things, a couple things, whatever, and they didn't get the roles that they wanted. Sometimes they're offered, you know, less important roles in the script, like a side character. Maybe it's a character that has one line or no lines. And they just think, this just isn't for me. And they walk away.
Yeah.
But you weren't cast because you didn't fit the role that for that character that the director had chosen. It doesn't mean you're terrible. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do this. It just means that this particular one doesn't fit you. And maybe that happens a couple times.
Right.
But you need to, as an actor, you should look at that and figure out why you're not getting those roles. Maybe you're trying out for the wrong roles. You know, maybe you look like a villain. Maybe you just look like you're the bad guy and you keep showing up for the, you know, happy hero that's going to make everyone laugh and save the day. And your face says, I want to kill all of you.
Yep.
You know,
and then
you need to try out for the villain role.
That same casting director may not cast you for this movie, but they may be the casting director for another movie, 3-4 movies down the line that you be perfect for. And they think about you. Oh, that one chick that auditioned for me for the horror flick, she'd be perfect for this. And then they give you a call.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Like there was I don't know if she's going to watch this. She'll know who she is. She's great. This is not anything negative about you whatsoever. But I was on set one day and the actress didn't show up. She just decided that she didn't have enough lines. It wasn't worth coming in. She'll never work with me again.
Right.
So she didn't show up. So we had 2 extras that I had to choose from to fill in this role. And of the 2, one of them looked like they were in the same class of people as the rest of the cast. She had the least experience of the 2. But if you lined her up with everyone else that had speaking roles, she fit their appearance, whereas the more experienced person did not fit the appearance, and she would have stood out in the film. And so I chose the other person just because the look of the film would have been more appealing, meaning that everyone looked like they belonged there and there wasn't somebody standing out. So I chose the less experienced actress, and it crushed the lady that didn't get the role.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with her. She gave a better performance in the little 5-minute audition that we did outside of set.
Right.
She killed it.
Yeah.
But she would have stood out. Like she just would have stood out. And it was like I need somebody that fits in, not somebody that stands in the front of the line.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with her, and she would be perfect in other roles. And there are times that situations like that have happened where, like we'll have like a buddy cop type of story, right? Where you got like 2 buddies or 2 siblings or whatever. And it's all about that chemistry on set. And someone will show up and they'll just blow it out of the park. Like, wow, that was the best monologue I've ever seen in my life. But they may not get cast for that particular role because there's 2 other people here that are over here giggling off screen. They've already come up with little inside jokes. I see them hanging out. Like, you guys have created a chemistry that we have to try to fake on screen. You naturally just developed it together. So if you're capable of memorizing lines, you're going to give a better performance for this particular scene than all of these other people are. So going back to this person who had a wonderful monologue, if this person keeps showing up for things, I'm going to eventually cast them just because their drive is equal to mine.
Right.
Like
that. Yep.
Like I didn't cast you in this and I didn't cast you in that. And here we are at the 3rd thing and you're still showing up with a smiling face, ready to go. Like, even if I don't have a role for you today, I now know that you want this just as bad as I want this, and you'll be in my next film. And that doesn't happen for everybody, but it has happened on multiple occasions.
Oh yeah. Like watching that movies that made us that we were talking about a few weeks back. Like a lot of times, just watching that and how they put these movies together, a lot of times things happen on these movies by accident.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nothing was, whatever that was, the spectacular part wasn't playing. Yeah.
Yep. Like Iron Man, apparently in the first one, when he was at the end of the movie, when he was standing up at the podium and he was like, I am Iron Man. And that wasn't in the script, and they weren't even going to keep it. They were just coming up with things to say, and it worked. And it was like, you know what? This fits better than anything else we've come up with. And they kept it. And then that was a tear-jerking moment in the end of the franchise.
Wow.
When he spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, it's been out for a while. when he snapped his finger and passed and sacrificed his own life to save everyone, he took that line and said, "I am Iron Man," and then snapped his finger, and he died. And it was a tear-jerking moment. It was very emotional for the fans that have been following them for the last 10 plus years. And it was just something that they came up with on the spot. And it became one of the most memorable moments in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
You know? So, we come up with stuff all the time.
Absolutely. That's how our minds work. And
so
that's creative.
What do you do? So we were talking about the process and going through all the steps. What do you do when you reach the end and it doesn't work?
That's a really good question, man. You have to make it work. You just do.
But some don't. Some don't. Like you write a song, you're super excited about it, you shoot a video for it, you share it with the world. Doesn't matter how much money you dump into it.
Right.
People just aren't feeling the beat. Or
right.
Maybe they don't like the hook or whatever. Who cares? Maybe they hate the video. Whatever it is, you've reached the end of the line and it wasn't the success that you hoped for. Where do you go? What's that like? Because I know that you keep going.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But like, what is that for you? What is that process like?
Depends. Sometimes it can be very devastating. Let's say that, to where you need some time to really like mourn. You know what I mean? You need that grieving period to where like rest in peace.
Right.
And then you move on. You know, and I use that in life as well. It's like certain things can happen in my life that may not be a tragedy, but it's tragic to me. You know what I mean? To where I have to grieve whatever that tragic moment for me is. And then once I grieve it, throw it in the backpack and just kind of, keep it moving and whatnot. But in projects, depending on how much effort I put into it, the grieving process can take a lot longer than other things.
Right.
To where I need to be secluded and isolated and not only grieve, but also get my thoughts together so I can come back too. Get myself in a mental state to where, okay, this won't define me. It will not. It'll just be one of those things that just didn't work out. But there's never been anything that has forced me to say, fuck this shit, I ain't gonna never do it anymore. I may be 6 months before I call you and be like, yo, I got something we can do. It may be 6 months, 9 months, but it's never gotten to the point to where I'm like, well, let me go see what this factory doing.
Right.
It's never gotten to that point, So, but grieving helps, and not just with being creative. That's life too. That's life. I moved out of my house that I lived in for a long time. And there was a moment to where, like, once the move was complete and I was settled into my new place, I shed a couple tears for the loss of that house or the memories that I made in that house with my family and stuff like that. And then once that happened, move into what we're in now and just kind of live in that moment, but you know, sometimes it takes a little bit of grieving to get it off of you, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I've talked to people that are in this business or used to be in this business, and they hit that grieving moment and just quit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
You
Brings
know?
me closure in a sense, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. You know what
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It may not be the closure that you wanted,
Right.
right? But you were able to complete it. You did
Right.
it. And
Right.
I would hope that you would try to understand why you're grieving to begin with. Like, what put you in that position? Why didn't it work? What
Yeah.
steps did you take that you know could have been better that landed you at the final product and it didn't move like you wanted it to?
Yep.
You know, and I would rather that, which is why there's only a couple successful people instead of like everyone. But I
Right.
would rather that you sit back and go, why didn't this work? And then when you tackle that next one, remember that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, because at some point you're going to run into the same wall,
Oh yeah.
right? And when are you going to learn to take that step to the right or to the left to avoid it? You know,
Yep. Yep.
like with each film that I do, each project that I tackle, I always try to think of the worst part of it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Like I'm very
I noticed that about
pessimistic.
you.
I'm very pessimistic.
Yeah.
But it's because I know that it didn't move like I wanted it to. And I want to understand why. Because I don't want that to happen again. Which is, you know, that's part of my growing process that I went through during the pandemic when I'm sitting at home, is going over the steps that I've taken that have landed me to today and trying to come up with a game plan for the future that doesn't repeat where it's been.
Right.
You know, because failure is going to happen at some point to everyone.
You're right.
And the only way I feel like, to prevent failure to being the only story that you tell is by learning from the past and the things that you did and maybe the things that you didn't do, and then try to not do them again. You know, like we've talked about before, how I tried to create a video style because I was a one-man band and I wanted my productions to move smoothly. And it was too hard to try to get everything by myself. So I tried to take steps that I could tackle a lot at once. And that was where my visual ideas came from. And there were times that it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And I would argue with it even if I had somebody there. Like, no, this is how we're going to do it. And it would fall on my face. But I knew that. I learned that. And then when I showed up for the next production, it was like, even though I think this shot will save me hours of time and I'll get everything that I need, it didn't work the last time. And it didn't work because of A, B, and C. So I'm probably going to try that shot again. But I'm not going to do it the same way.
Okay.
I'm going to take a different route to get to that shot. Because it's not because I have to make this right, meaning that I came up with it and I'm going to do it because of that. It's because it failed. And I know why it failed. And it doesn't mean that this particular shot is a bad shot.
Right.
It just means that I didn't do it correctly. My execution was not where it should have been. So instead of just throwing that shot in the trash and going, I'm not going to use that ever again, I'm going to figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And when I get to the following production, I might not use that shot again. But if in the previous shot or the previous project, if I executed it differently and I got a better result, then later down the road, if I feel like I need that shot again, I now know what to do to make it work instead of just throwing it in the trash. And, you know, I'll probably grieve over it because I wasted everyone's time and it didn't even work and nobody likes the film anyway. So, but I'm going to remember where those shortcomings were, you know, and when I tackle that next project, I'll just do it differently.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
people grieve differently. Now, I'm not saying you got to sling snot and shit. When I say grieve, you know what I mean? You know, everybody grieves in their own way. But
Right.
I think grieving over something that didn't work is very therapeutic. It can be very therapeutic. You know,
Oh, yeah.
help you cleanse your soul and
Yep.
do that whole business. But in that regard, and what you were talking about, I kind of we're similar in a lot of the things that you mentioned in that, because I approach it the same way too. I think that's why it takes me about 15 days to complete a song, because if that ending don't work or that transition doesn't work, or I may not get that light bulb moment right away. I may have to listen to the record for like 2 or 3 days before it said, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So I like to take my time in the creative process because of that. Because it'll come to a part in the record and I was like, I cringe every time I hear it because it's not working the way that I go by feeling. So if it doesn't feel great, and I'm like, so I'll listen, and then I'll like mix the record down, the stereo, so I can put it in my phone and listen through my headphones. And a lot of times when I do that, when I go outside, sit on the back porch and listen through the headphones, a lot of times that's where I get my aha moment, to where I'm like, oh, that's what I was supposed to do and whatnot. But I tend to not want to make records in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because of that. You know what I mean? Because of that. Yeah. But go back and fix.
Right.
You know.
With new music, I don't know about you as a producer, but as a fan, as a listener, when I get a new song to listen to, I got to play it in the car.
Yeah.
That's the number one spot.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, if I listen into the headphones and it's great, awesome. If I'm watching it on YouTube and I see the music video and that's the first time I heard the song, awesome. I don't count my first listen until it's played loud in my car.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work in my car,
Yeah.
I don't like the song.
Yeah. Car's good. Car's a good reference too. But something about those headphones for me on the back porch, something like I have had some bang moments quite frequently back there, man, where like, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Is it because it isolates your sound? So
I think
there's nothing else going on?
Yep, and I'm not staring at the mixing console or the monitors, and most of the times when I'm out there, like I'm indulging in or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, so it's like, so I get out there, I'm one with nature and one with myself, and the music is just playing, and next thing you know, the chord progression that I hit that didn't quite work, and I'm like, that's what it is. Or that drum pattern that's got one too many kicks in it, and you be like, oh, if I take that kick out right there, that's what's gonna make it work. That right there. So yeah.
So I'm curious if you've ever been in this situation. So you're out on the back porch, headphones are on, you just realize that kick drum needs to come out, and then the school calls and they said, hey, your kid's sick, come pick it up. And now you can't go upstairs and fix it.
Right.
You got to drive to school and pick your kid up. How does that, what is that drive like? What is the time like between discovering the change and finally getting to lay it down? And
that happens more often than you may realize too. It does. With having kids, I'm a procrastinator in a lot of things. And I'm the type that will not go grocery shopping for a lot. I'll grocery shop every day. That's how bad it is. I will. That's the New York in you. Man, I will go and get one meal, or I'll go and get lunch and dinner. If it's the weekends, I'll go and get lunch and dinner, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that day. And then tomorrow I'll get up and do the same fucking thing. Like that's how little time I want to spend in the supermarket. So let's say I get up tomorrow morning and I got a song in my head. All right, I'm working on the record all morning up until early afternoon. Kids get home, they start filing in here about 3 o'clock. So it's 3 o'clock. I have not set out dinner. I have not even went and got food for dinner. And it's 3 o'clock. It's about to be Grand Central Station in my house. Now, I done sat in here all morning long and just been in front of the computer all morning. So now I have all this time where I got to go to the supermarket, get the food, and then I have to come home and prepare the shit. You know what I mean? So that's about 2.5, 3 hours between the running around, the shopping, the prepping, the washing, the cooking, the all of those things. That can be very time consuming. But the whole time, I done mixed this record down on to my phone to where I can listen to the bullshit that's got me so irritated. So by the time I get back up there, I'm so furious at listening to the bullshit that many times. So yeah, that keeps me fresh. Like every cringing every 3 or 4 minutes and shit. Like I got Tourette's. So yeah.
When you're doing that, does Faith ever go, Dad, I don't like this song?
I've learned that my kids don't really give a fuck. They don't. Sway didn't start listening to my music till I had the kidney transplant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was only because I wasn't around every day. So he started listening to child support. And when I came home, he was like, I listened to your music while you were gone. And I was like, oh yeah? He was like, yeah, you're really good. I was like, you didn't know? He was like, no. He was like, no, I didn't. I'm like, wow.
See how the lights are on?
Right. But that part, and studios in their face every day. That's how little they care. Just does not matter. I guess I gotta be half dead to get their attention around this motherfucker. So yeah, it bees like that.
Yeah.
It bees like that. So what do you do?
Right. Well, as we near the end of this season that we have set out and completed, what are some of your goals for the next season? Now, we don't have to give all of our secrets away.
No doubt.
On
No doubt.
what season 2 is going to be like. But just some goals to put forth for yourself for season 2.
Well, I want us to, personal goals for me for season 2 is to get better organized. First and foremost, understand the job that I've taken on. Mm-hmm. Understand what it truly is and approach it as such. And don't sell it short. Don't sell it short. 'Cause I kind of did that with this first season, and I know there's a lot of things that I could have done better had I not thought that this was gonna be just something that we did, you know. So I won't take it for granted, and I won't take the job lightly. And that's not to say that we have to put our entire lives into this podcast, but I understand that it is a task. I get that part of it. You know what I mean? So in order for it to be the best that I want it to be, then I have to put my best foot forward in producing just that.
Well, and it is a job.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning when we were spitting ideas back and forth and watching other podcasts and getting an understanding of what's expected out of us, I think at the beginning it did seem like it was going to be really simple.
Yeah.
Like we talk about this stuff all the time anyways. What's it matter if we record it?
Yep. Yep.
And then we started doing it, and really quickly it was like, oh my God, there's a million other things to do.
Yep. Yep. And
You know?
and in the downtime too, I want to find ways to grow it. That's another thing that I'm going to be looking into also, is how to grow what we're doing. And that's been really challenging for me too, to produce and grow it at the same time has been challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably the most challenging part for me, is meeting the deadlines and then growing it. So I got to get used to meeting the deadlines and making sure that I'm doing that part of it. And once I'm comfortable there, then grow.
Yeah.
And do, like, I'm being realistic with myself in regards to what we're doing here, and looking at it from the angle of what can we do next time that we didn't do this time, or what did we do this time that we need to eliminate for next time, and whatnot. But at the same time, keep it light too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep it light. It's not the end of the world, but I want to put out a great product at the same time. You know what I mean? So, what about you?
My biggest struggle was scheduling. Once this thing really took off and we had a plan, and we started, all right, we're going to start getting to releasable episodes, and we had a format and all the above. The scheduling was the hardest part for me, and keeping it up. And I finally figured out a schedule. Now keeping that schedule has been another challenge, because there's a schedule that I have to stick to. And if I don't stick to it, I create a giant hole that I don't want to be in. However, I'm really good at missing, skipping over my own deadlines. So my goal for season 2, part 1 is to stick to the schedule. Part 2 of that is my production, like what is seen through the window. Because when I set it up for the first time, I had an idea in mind, and I wanted simplicity, but at the same time, I wanted it to look professional. But I wasn't set up for the professional side of it.
Right.
So I've been, over the last couple of weeks, even though I'm going through the editing process, I'm still looking at mine and then setting everything back up again, changing lights around. And I've got some ideas for season 2 to really beef up what the audience sees when it cuts to me.
Yeah.
So my look, my background's not going to change because this is my office, but the look will be much better for season 2. I've got some plans in motion for that. So
but I am proud of the level of consistency that we were able to maintain throughout it all. We stuck to the script as much as we could, given everything that we were faced with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that we were able to produce one week after week after week, like, for me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Because that's half the battle right there, is that the staying consistent. So learning, I've done daily shows, weekly shows, and things of that nature before. So I know how important being consistent is. I do. I know the importance of that. But the fact that we sat down for months every week, you know what I mean, for months on end, and continued to kept, regardless of what was going on in our lives. We may have switched days. We may not have done the same day every week, but it was a week after week after week after week thing. You know what I mean? Like, I was having this conversation. DJ Clark King came through to see me a couple days ago. And where I was talking to him about the pod, we was chatting it up about the podcast and whatnot, and he was saying that too, the fact that just the consistency, staying consistent, and he was also about, like, we should have been the first one with the podcast and all that. So but whatever. But consistency, man, is like, for me, that's been great. That's been great. We can just build on that momentum for next season. For me, I think that'll put us halfway there. I really do.
Yep.
I believe that. And really, that was one of my main goals for this first season too, is to be able to just get used to being consistent.
Yeah.
Get used to that idea. You know what I mean? Regardless of how great or how not so great the shows were, just knowing that we can do it week after week after week,
And it's been
So,
fun.
yeah.
I know that on our day at the right time, I've got to be sitting right here. I've got to have all the lights and camera rolling. We're ready to go. And my whole life has become like coming up with my schedule throughout the week.
Right.
We're going to do this, we're going to do that, whatever. But on Tuesday, got the podcast.
Yep. Yep. That's me. That's me. That's me. And I want to give a shout out to Quasi. You know what I mean? I do. I want to say that I appreciate your input on everything. Without him, we may not even be here.
That's right.
Quite honestly. You know what I mean? So appreciate you, man. And feel free to fuck with us. You know what I mean? It's all good. Open invitation. Come back and make an episode or two happen on Peanut Butter Magic and whatnot. We'll always welcome you in, guesting on the show.
He is the magic of our peanut butter.
Absolutely. He is that. He is that and whatnot. So, and one thing I do want to say before we wrap this thing up is I want to leave the people with this. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. This is the only time that you check us out on Peanut Butter Magic and you're a dreamer, even if you're not a dreamer, find you one. Find you a dreamer and keep dreaming. Dream big, dream often, dream hard. Dream with everything that you have. And don't allow people to kill that dream. Because with dreams, that's where magic comes from. Dreams. Mainly the podcast was for people like us, boss, that were dreamers, are dreamers. Just to kind of talk to those types of people. People that imaginations run rampant all the time, but may not have a community of people around them that think the same way that they do. So we want to encourage all creators, all entrepreneurs, all people, don't stop dreaming and believe in yourself, because anything can happen. But you can only win if you're playing. All right? That's it. That's all I got.
What else needs to be said?
You know what I mean? We thank you all, man, for giving us the time to entertain you, or just to inform you, or just to pass some time, or, to my homies behind the wall, that's got the phones that you snuck in. Checks us out. You know what I'm saying? Thank you all for allowing us to come into your lives week after week. Just highlight you. And we got some great ideas for next season too. So,
sure.
And in the meantime, we'll be building on those ideas. So the next time you catch us in this capacity, who knows what we'll look like. Until next time, for Boss 10, this is Sway Low. Don't stop drinking.
Yeah.